My name is Marianne Maestas, and I'm the Local Infrastructure Capital Improvement Plan Coordinator. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. We just ask that you all stay muted to reduce distractions and background noise for the recording that will go up on our website. Please add questions in the chat. We may answer them as we go along. And then, of course, at the end, we'll have additional time to answer those questions. And like I just mentioned, this training is being recorded and will be posted within a week under the ICIP virtual training page of the DFA website. This is our agenda for the day and what we will do an overview of. We will introduce you all to our Capital Planning and Policy Bureau here at DFA, which is new. We'll also have a short presentation from our Rural and Frontier Equity Ombuds. And we'll do just a quick overview of the ICIP and some of the small changes that are happening this year, as well as the resources that are on our website. Today, I am the main presenter for the training, but Ryan Serrano, who's our state ICIP coordinator, will also be providing some remarks, in addition to our Infrastructure Planning and Development Division Director, Wesley Billingsley, and then, of course, our two Rural and Frontier Equity Ombuds. And I will pass it off to our Division Director, Wesley Billingsley, for some opening remarks.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the ICIP 101 information session. Hopefully you'll be able to get a lot of valuable information out of this. I think when it comes to the ICIPs and submitting your infrastructure capital improvement plans, it's one of the most important things I think that you do for your entities, and especially for the state. We use these in a variety of different ways. And we'll get into kind of what's going to be happening here in the future when it comes to ICIPs and how we use them. But I think, we want to make sure that infrastructure in the state, gets completed and gets funded. And so one of those ways is to make sure you do your ICIPs timely in accordance with what we put forward as our guidelines. So excited for this training today. Like I said, lots of exciting things happening within this next fiscal year that are going to be coming. I'm excited to get into this presentation to show you all of that. So welcome, and go ahead. I'll turn it back over to Marianne for the next presenter.
And then I will pass it on to Ryan Serrano for some introduction to our new bureau.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Ryan Serrano. I do the ICIP for the state agencies. So just a little bit about our bureau. We're the Capital Planning and Policy Bureau. What we do here is we assist the state agencies and local governments with their ICIP. So with that, we help them develop it, and then once they submit that to our office, we review that, pass it on to any entities to fund those appropriations that they're looking for. In our office, we also work with the executive agencies and the governor's office, preparing the capital budget. So all the capital outlay projects that just got assigned now for the legislative session, Wesley was a big part of that going through our office. Once that's done, we also do the questionnaire process.
Okay. Did you get your hot sauce we have?
Yes, ma'am. And it's in a different packet now.
Yeah, I don't eat these.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan.
Oh, sorry. There's still more on there. We're just waiting for that sound. Gonna go back real quick. So we work with the LSC, Legislative Finance Committee, and the LCS, Legislative Council Services, in drafting those capital outlay bills. So with that, all the language that comes through for your projects, when you see those on a grant agreements, that's where all that comes from. So like I said, we have the general fund questionnaire process. So I know a lot of you are familiar with the STB questionnaire coming through the State Board of Finance, and the general fund coming through our office. It's somewhat new. We've done the last couple of years, but it wasn't done previously. So if you haven't seen that, just be on the lookout for that for your general fund appropriations. And then we also oversee the CPMS, the Capital Project Management System, which is where all the reporting for the legislative appropriations go through. It's a public system, so anybody that has internet access can access that website and see the projects in that entity or what's going on with those projects. So that's what we do. If you have any other questions, you can contact us, and if it's something that we handle in-house, or we can get you referred to the correct person in our office for that.
That was the mic.
Thanks, Rhiannon.
Thank you. Steve, I see you have your hand raised. And if folks can please mute themselves, that would be wonderful. I'm actually having a lot of trouble hearing anyone who's speaking, so I can't hear the background noise that is coming from someone else's computer. But it looks like right now everyone's muted. I'm sorry for my muffled voice. I think I'll have to get a new microphone. Sorry about that. It seems like I dropped off. Michael and Jason, passing it off to you.
Marianne, are you operating the slide there? There we go. Good morning, everybody. My name is Michael Gilmore. I am one of your 2 rural and frontier equity ombuds within the Capital Navigation and Funding Assistance Bureau of the Infrastructure Division. My counterpart, Jason Quintana, should be here as well. Are you here, Jason?
Yes, I was waving my hand frantically in
Good
the
deal.
air, Michael. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. So as you know, if you've attended any trainings that deal with our division lately, you've probably heard, you're probably familiar with our function. We, as your rural and frontier equity ombuds, focus specifically on issues that relate to rural and frontier communities, which of course often intersect with those that affect our larger municipalities and counties. Everything from compliance issues to funding assistance. Of course, compliance affects your funding, but we could also facilitate other functions, whether you need a go-between with other state, local agencies, nonprofit organizations, or just general guidance with planning. Marianne, do you want to forward the slide there? I see Marianne got creative with Photoshop. So, as you can see, this is an overview of what we do. And we'll take questions here in a moment if any of you have them, but everything from technical assistance to capacity building, advocacy with local issues, or sometimes policy advocacy. The idea is to raise the capacity and the capability of the communities that where some of you may be doing multiple jobs and have a hard time operating on the same level as our larger communities that have that have the budget and the employee pool to specialize in a way that helps you get things done quicker. We want we want the rising tide to float all boats in the state of New Mexico, and that's what we're here for. Marianne? Jason, do you want to talk for a minute?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Michael. I was also going to add that, our positions are fairly new, and we're learning just like everyone else is learning. We have also come across issues that some of the entities are having that we would have never known without speaking to these entities. So, at any point, we try to either, if we don't know the answer, we'll try to reach out and find somebody that does. We'll help you find people that can help your entities and help you help the people in your communities. Um, no question is a bad question, and hopefully we all learn together and we can move forward and help everyone across the state.
So you'll see here on our current side, go back for 1 second, if you would, Marianne. So some of you, well, hopefully all of you, hopefully many of you have heard about the capacity building sessions that that Jason primarily has organized, rotating through the 7 COG districts in the state. We're referring to these as capacity building sessions. The idea is that we will develop a curriculum for each round of sessions and take that particular curriculum through each of the 7 COG districts. And then once that cycle is complete, we will start the process again with a new curriculum. So the first curriculum that's been put together consists of a session with the Office of the State Auditor on Audit Act requirements and navigating the OSA website and various functions. Then there is a section with the Capital Planning and Policy Bureau that contains Ryan, who you've heard from earlier, and Marianne, who is putting on this training for you that deals with Capital Outlay 101. That will deal with to varying degrees your ICIP, the CPMS system, and other relevant information. And then capping the session off, the full day session, with training on the local government budget management system that you need for your budget filing and your quarterly reporting with DFA. So that's the first curriculum. We had the first training this past weekend in Albuquerque. It seemed to be successful and useful. That's our hope. We can improve these sessions with input from all of you, and in order to get input, we need you to attend. So if you don't know, reach out to one of us, reach out to Marianne, to Ryan, to any of us here in infrastructure. We will get you the information on the session that's coming to your district or one near you. The next session, you'll see here the next 3 sessions that have been booked. The Eastern Plains region in Clovis will have a session on Saturday, May 10th. Then we'll cover Southwest and South Central on the same day, a few days later, Wednesday the 14th in Silver City. The Southeastern region in Roswell on Wednesday, July 23rd. And dates and locations will be coming soon for the Northwest and North Central regions. Jason, is there anything else you want to add about those upcoming sessions?
That is correct. Sorry, Michael, I guess I should have read those out for you.
No problem.
So these, like Michael was saying, these trainings are very important and we believe are very helpful. We have sent them out to the COGs, who we hope are sending them out to everybody on their mailing list. We are sending them out through our mailing list, but if you have not received any information on these, please feel free to reach out to us and we can send you the flyers, which you will need to fill out in order to attend. It just helps us know who's going to attend and how much capacity we have for the amount of people that we can fit into each class.
And one last thing I'll say on that, We're trying to fit as many folks in as we can, but capacity is often limited to somewhere between 50 and 100 people. So do please sign up at your earliest convenience. Reach out to us with any questions or any problems that you're having on any matter that you need help with. Thanks for your time. Thank you, Marianne.
Thank you, Marianne.
Thank you so much, Michael and Jason. Just to answer Bernadette and Kendra's questions. So the slides and the recording will be posted on the ICIP virtual training page. And I've been trying to send out that page after these trainings. But if you also want to reach out by email, I can also send you the PDFs and that page again. So to move on, so what is an ICIP? Of course, the ICIP stands for Infrastructure Capital Improvement Plan. It is a planning tool, it's a roadmap, it's something that helps you as an entity think through your priority infrastructure projects and really try to demonstrate the need and readiness for your entity to undertake those infrastructure projects. And it's something that happens throughout the state. Entities of all size and type are able to complete their ICIP, and folks do submit this annually to the infrastructure division at DFA. Previously, it was at the local government division at DFA, and now it's here at IPDD. It does cover a 5-year fiscal period, so the current cycle that we are in is fiscal year 2027 to 2031, which is July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2031. This is something that decision makers at different levels review, whether it's your legislators who are looking at projects to allocate capital outlay dollars or other state grants. And it is something that is required for tribal infrastructure fund applications. But really, it's a tool to help you plan for your future infrastructure projects and make sure that infrastructure that you currently have gets maintained and updated and not left behind. But an ICIP is not a wish list. It's not an actual funding application. It's not a funding source. It's not a capital outlay request. So just because you complete an ICIP and list all the projects that your entity wants to undertake during that 5-year fiscal period, it's not a guarantee that you will get state funding. But it is, like I said before, reviewed by legislators, the governor's office, other stakeholders, and of course the public and a variety of other decision makers. So why is the ICIP important? The ICIP is important because it helps you establish priorities. It can be easy to say you want to do a myriad of infrastructure projects during one specific year, but it helps you plan it out further in advance and think through the project from all the different questions that are on the ICIP. And we encourage folks to focus on critical need projects and undertake that planning process at your local level. The ICIP also increases funding opportunities. The governor's office is using the ICIP publication when they're vetting projects. Other funding agencies at the state level utilize the ICIP. And as part of our new division, we also have the Capital Navigation and Funding Assistance Bureau, and they will use it to help you seek other funding sources as well. So who submits an ICIP? All counties and municipalities, well, most municipalities do, and all counties do. This last year, about 70 different pueblos, nations, Navajo Nation chapter houses, and tribes participated in the ICIP. Last year, around 185 special districts participated and submitted an ICIP, and special districts include everything from acequias and land grants to mutual domestic water associations and more, special hospital districts. And then, of course, we encourage all senior citizen facilities to submit an ICIP and to also submit ICIP projects separate from their local government entity. So we encourage you to enter senior center projects on the senior center ICIP profile rather than including those projects on your county or municipality profile. So what are ICIP projects? So of course, like I said, they're not random projects. They're projects that there's a need for. It could be creating a new fixed asset, enhancing or repairing an existing fixed asset. They should have a life expectancy of at least 10 years, and they should be ready to proceed. So it shouldn't be just some random project that was added. It should be something that your entity is invested in and has some need for. Your ICIP projects ideally should have good cost estimates so that you can include the most accurate information in the project budget and phasing budget as you can. You should be able to identify some of the funding sources that you are going to seek out or that your entity is going to contribute. And if you need any assistance with that, our office can also help you seek out possible other funding sources. We do encourage regional projects, although we do know it can be difficult to plan out regional projects, but we do encourage those. And of course, like I said before, they should address some community needs and maintenance needs that your entity has. This is an outline of the general ICIP development process. So ideally, this process starts way before the deadlines for submission. They should include stakeholder and resident participation to help identify your needs and plan them. And you can read more about these different steps in the local ICIP guidelines that are available on our website. And I'll drop a link in the chat to our website that has all the resources. And it is also supposed to be an iterative process. So, you know, the final step is submitting the resolution from your local body, local governing body, and submitting your plan to DFA so that we could review it for any errors or mistakes that might have been included. But at the end, the process sort of starts all over during the next cycle with, you know, more resident engagement or stakeholder engagement, and then going through this whole cycle again. These are the submission deadlines for this year. So senior citizen facilities are coming up on May 14th, and we have already started to receive some submissions from senior centers around the state. Special districts is Friday, June 13th. State agencies are July 1st. Tribal governments, counties, and municipalities are Friday, July 11th. And then we hope to have the final publication ready on our website and sent to legislators and the governor's office in October. And then I'm going to go ahead and mute that background noise. So after we receive your submission, we will review it starting on a rolling basis, and we will notify whoever is listed on the submission form if we see any errors or mistakes that should be corrected, which is especially important because other than, you know, decision makers reviewing these publications, later on in the year, the information also gets uploaded onto our website in our ICIP dashboard. So it's important to have accurate and clean information. As well as in the late summer, we'll be launching the new ICIP website and database, and we will in turn transfer the data from the current website to the new website. And more information will be available later on this year about the transition. And of course, we'll do additional trainings to walk through how the new website will work. But this is also one of the reasons why it's important to fix any mistakes and errors on your ICIP projects that are found by us, because it'll just aid in that transition, and you'll start off in the new system with good data, and we won't have to go back and do as much fixing of any small errors that might be on there. So for the new system, we will upload projects into it, and we think that it will be more user-friendly for you all. It'll allow you to save and continue before you finally submit it. It'll reduce some redundant data entry and be better, like just more accessible and provide more transparency. So this is just a screenshot of our web page. So like I said before, the ICIP process, as you all know, used to be under the local government division, and that's where you were able to find all the files and resources. But now there is a new tab on the DFA website called the Infrastructure Planning and Development Division. If you click on that, you'll be able to access that ICIP resource page in the first paragraph of the page. And you'll just click on this red text that says Infrastructure Capital Improvement Plan. You can also use the search tool on our website if you're having issues to find that page, as well as any other pages that we reference here. And you'll also be able to find the page that has the ICIP website, which is state.nm.us/capital projects. And you all will enter your information on your profile. And if you have any issues with your profile, or if you need your password or whatever, please reach out and we will assist you with that. So these are some of the resources that are listed on our website, and to help you guide in submitting your ICIP and possibly even completing it. We have a data entry manual for first-time users to help explain a little bit more about the information that is required and any errors that might pop up if you enter information incorrectly. We have the ICIP guidelines, which has the website has information about the ICIP development process, has information for the Council of Governments, has the information for the New Mexico Acequia Association, as well as the New Mexico Land Grant Council if you all need more assistance. So I would really encourage you all to download the ICIP guidelines. There are also ICIP worksheets, which is just a paper copy of the different questions and sections for the ICIP. And those are really just for your convenience. You're not required to submit those, and we ask that you don't submit those, but rather enter that information on the website. There's also an ICIP checklist, which is also a tool to just make sure you've checked all the boxes into what is required to be considered like a full completion of the process. And then there are recorded trainings from this year and then last year that the local government division held that may be helpful for you all. So this year, the required documents are a signed resolution from your governing body adopting your fiscal year 2027 to 2031 ICIP. And a template is also on the website if that would be helpful for you all. And we ask that you mail any documentation to lgd.icip@tfa.nm.gov. There is a new user access form, which is only required if you have new employees or staff that are entering your ICIP or working on the ICIP for your entity. And we also ask that you email that same email. And then the final step to submit and say that your ICIP is complete is the ICIP completion form, which is just an online form asking you for your entity contact and then asking that you make sure that you sent the resolution to us. So this is a screenshot of the guidelines that are on the website, as well as the data entry instruction manual, which are tools for you all, and I would really encourage folks who are new to the process to review them and ask us any questions that you may have, or if you need any more assistance. And I try to put the link to that part of the website in the chat. So your submission, your ICIP is not considered complete until you submit the signed ICIP resolution and then the online certification form. And those are linked on our website as well as those guidelines. And you can see this is where the online form is. You'll see it says submission completion form. And then this is the access form. So this is only required, like I said, if you have new staff or volunteers working on the ICIP process. If you don't have any new staff or volunteers, you do not have to submit this document. So we try to reduce the number of required documents from 3 down to 1 to reduce the amount of paperwork that you all have to do and submit to us. So this next section is just going over some of the more common mistakes that we see in providing good data, which is especially important as we will be transferring data and starting off fresh with correct information. It's also important to have a robust ICIP with accurate information that really shows off your project and the need for it. So I'll go through some of the questions that folks have that we see a lot of issues with, or small
That's right.
mistakes.
Yeah. I'll try Command, Shift, and
So the first question on here is question number 6, which is the proposed project start date. Sometimes this is blank, so folks don't have anything entered, or they just include a month, or they just include a year, but we do ask that you put the month and the year. The other question is question number 10. The ICIP asks that you submit the GPS coordinates for your project in decimal degrees. So this is the example of decimal degrees. A lot of times we'll see this format entered, and then we have to update it or ask you all to update it depending on how many projects you have. And this is just important for the dashboard. So we spent a lot of time this last year fixing a lot of entries, but we have 2 links to 2 different websites where you can just enter the project that you have, or you can even, if you're in a more rural area, you can enter the town, and then you can click on the map to find the exact location. And it gives you the latitude and longitude and like a multitude of formats, including decimal degrees. The next question that we see some errors with that we help folks fix is question number 11, which asks for the legislative language for the project. And so this is as if your project was listed in, like, say, the capital outlay bill. There's a very specific format that it asks for. And you can see this is an example of the correct format. Sometimes I'll see like in Sandoval County, comma, New Mexico, or they'll put in Bernalillo, in New Mexico, in Sandoval County. But we ask for the name of the town or the community in the county, and we ask that county is lowercase, and then the beginning has a lowercase 2. And then I saw a question in the chat on latitude and longitude. If you have a linear project that may run over a large area, in the new system, you'll be able to more accurately show that. But for right now, you can just pick a middle point for the project and provide that latitude and longitude. For number 12, yes, and then no period at the end of the legislative language. And then for question number 12, which asks about the scope of work, sometimes we'll just see an exact copy and paste. So like in this example, it's just a copy and paste of the legislative language. But we ask you to go into more detail for what the project actually is. You can talk about the phasing of the project, and you can even mention what has been done before and what you're planning to do. Specifics are appreciated, and they don't have to be like to the T, but we do ask for a better description of what your project actually is so that whoever's looking at your plan can get a better picture of what you all are trying to do. The other question that we see some issues with, and it is a little confusing at first, is question number 14, which talks about the project budget. And so this will have columns for the 5-year period. So this year it'll start off from 2027 to 2031. And one of the issues that we see with this is that, so in this example, you can see that funded to date, this project has had design and construction, but under the completed column, they chose NA, or they left it as NA instead of putting yes or no. So it's asking if that project phase has been completed. So if it's funded to date, it likely has been completed. So you would put yes. If you have a dollar amount in one of these columns, say that 50,000 was under the first column, they probably don't have design completed. So so you can leave it there, but if you have something in the funded to date, you should answer the yes, no, or NA drop down. And then the amount not yet funded should match the amount of funding that you are saying that you need for the project. So if this is different than what your entity is saying that you need, we will follow up with you and ask why there are different numbers on there. And then for the next few questions that we'll run through are questions 19D through H. These are additional questions that do require a little bit more of a description. So for the first one under this section is the regionalism question. Does the project directly benefit an entity other than itself? This is just a yes/no question. And then if it is a yes, we do ask you to explain it. So sometimes we'll see this section blank. And I included some examples of better responses to this question. So all of these entities answered yes to this question, and they're describing in what way the project that they are talking about is benefiting an entity other than itself. So for example, the project directly benefits the residents and visitors of all communities within the 4-county service area by providing reliable transit services. This space will be available for use by San Miguel County and other local entities by providing a space for voting, senior meal distribution, and meeting space. Here's some more examples. This project benefits this entity by stabilizing our water use and ensuring their supply. It also benefits U.S. Fish and Wildlife, who is protecting the razorback sucker. Local acequia and ditch associations currently use the building for their regular meetings to be used for community, educational, cultural events, and economic development. Part E, are there oversight mechanisms built in to ensure timely construction and completion of the project on budget? It's a yes, no question. And then whatever your answer is, it does ask for an explanation. So this section should also not be left blank. So here's some examples of some answers. The project will be overseen by a project manager with the blanks on-call engineering firm. Procurement officer and finance director will oversee the purchase, will follow NMDOT procurement guidelines, and will utilize state purchasing agreement. This project will have oversight through board members, the consulting firm blank, associates, and NMED Capital Projects Bureau to ensure timely design and construction of the project. And this question is important because you know, it's talking about adherence to laws and regulation and just being able to follow through on the project and how you all are making sure that you are doing that. Question number F is, other than the associated temporary construction jobs, does the project maintain or advance the region's economy? And this is also a yes, no with explanation. So please do not leave it blank. So these are some examples of some responses that do answer this question. And for so many projects, this question should be a yes. And sometimes it's not directly clear or like clear right away on how your project is maintaining or advancing your region's economy. So here are some examples. Trails are known to advance the region's economy. This project enhances the reliability of the public transportation network, which provides service to employment, retail, recreation, and other services. The water line replacement will increase water system resiliency and will maintain the economy by maintaining population within the community. And then question G, does the project benefit all citizens within a recognized region, district, or political subdivision? And this is a yes, no, and explain either answer. So here are some examples, and the question also has a note about providing the number of people or estimated number of people that will benefit from the project. So these folks entered specific numbers. So this project will benefit 38 connections, which is about 114 residents within the system by eliminating the possibility of leaks, breaks, and associated risk of contamination. Another entity wrote, this project will directly benefit all 100 members and their families. Fully functional infrastructure provides citizens with the opportunity to maintain farming and ranching economies. And then the last example we have on here is, yes, all 154,823 beneficiaries in Santa Fe County will be advantaged by the rehabilitation of the sewer pipes.
Just doesn't show anything that they're showing. It just has that showing them talking.
Okay, and then the last question that I wanted to bring up for this section is number H. Does the project eliminate a risk or hazard to public health and or safety that immediately endangers occupants of the premises such that corrective action is urgent and unavoidable? And this is a yes, no, and explain either answer. And this question should be yes in almost all cases, because whatever project, most of projects that folks are planning for, they are eliminating some sort of risk or potential risk in the future to the residents of their community. And so here are some good examples. this storage facility will protect the environment, that will help provide services to the local residents, such as providing fuel, wood, and flood and erosion prevention. The project reduces risk of damage to private property. Public safety would be at risk in the event of a flood. In the event of a major emergency, the Pueblo does not have the capability to establish an emergency operations center to ensure the timely and appropriate allocation of resources and personnel to save lives. A new hospital will eliminate the risk to those receiving medical treatment in a facility that does not meet current regulations. So we do encourage folks to think through how this project is preventing risks and hazards to the members of your community. And then to move on, or here, I'll stop here. Ryan, are there any other questions pertinent to this section?
Hi. Yes, there was one. So on question 11, you had said not to include a period, and then in the comments, I said that punctuation can be included. So I just wanted to clarify that Marianne is correct. There should not be a period. The reason for that is just because when they're drafting the legislative language, they're copying over what's in there, and they're not using periods at the end. So you should not use the period at the end on question 11.
And Marianne, I've been answering all the questions in the chat, so I think we're good.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Wesley. So I'm going to show all of the different trainings that we have planned over the next few months. So you all are here today on April 16th, so thank you so much for coming. Every Tuesday from 3 to 4:30, I've been hosting open hours. So this is just a time if you have any questions, or if you need assistance entering your ICIP, I would encourage you to just drop by those hours and I can help you one-on-one. But of course, if those hours don't work for you, please reach out and we can talk and schedule a meeting for a different time. I wanted to bring up the Capital Connect Hub that the Capital Navigation and Funding Assistance Bureau is hosting once a month on the 4th Monday of the month. So the next one coming up is April 28th, and I believe it's on project planning, so I would encourage you all to attend. And then in May, like Jason and Michael said, there's a in-person capacity building training in Clovis. On May 13th, there's a capital outlay overview and arts and public places training. That's happening on Teams as well. If you have not received the invite for that and would like to attend, please send me an email. On the 14th is the Senior Center Facilities ICIP deadline, as well as the Silver City capacity building training. In June, we just scheduled a ICIP training for tribal governments, and that's in collaboration with IED and Denise Copeland from the Navajo Nation. And then the special districts deadline is on the 13th. On July 11th, as you all know, the tribal governments, counties, and municipalities ICIP deadline is July 11th. And then there are 2 in-person trainings tentatively scheduled for those dates later on in July. And then once again, the deadlines for all the entities are listed here. And we would just like to thank you for attending this training. And we have 8 minutes left, so would love to answer any outstanding questions. So if you have a question, please raise your hand or please add it in the chat. Hi, Lawrence. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, how are you? My question is regarding the resolution. If we don't have like time to obtain resolution, will a letter still suffice?
Yes, of course. Sorry to include that in the slide. So For tribal governments, they can also include a letter from leadership approving their ICIP plan and all the projects they have listed. So thank you for asking that.
Marianne, I'll come off mute to help answer some of these questions in the chat. Go ahead and go first, Bernadette, and then I'll answer some more in the chat.
Off mute. Sorry. Hello. My name is Bernadette Cuthair, and I am with the Ute Mountain Tribe. I am the planning director and what they call a community service division director as well. I've been in my official capacity for about 15 years now, 5 years prior in the same department. So the Ute Mountain Tribe, we're relatively new to the New Mexico. We do have a land base there, and we were just recently recognized back in January. And so this process is relatively new for me and the Ute Mountain Tribe. We do have some excellent consultants on board, Sauter Miller and Associates, that were helping us through the process as well on planning studies for in our land base in New Mexico. So if there's any kind of contact information, like with the COGS that I need to reach out to within San Juan County, if you can please forward that to me, and any other contacts, or perhaps maybe a visit to one of the tribes. Like, I want to just see how that works internally, like a sample project. If any of the tribes are willing to provide that to the Ute Mountain Tribe. So I would appreciate that. And thank you for having us.
Thank you, Bernadette. I think you left your email in the chat, so I'll also follow up with you on some of the documents you mentioned. Andrew, do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself?
Yeah, my question on the copper and lead piping, if it has to be in the ICIP, is the state requiring us to put those in the ICIP so that we can start pursuing those projects as necessary?
I'll go ahead and take this one, Marianne. I think no entity has to fill out the ICIP. The ICIP isn't a statutory requirement. But I think it's important to add any project that you feel is relevant for your community in the ICIP, because it can only be helpful in getting funding to your areas and to your communities. And so I would urge you to put every project in the ICIP. That way we are aware of them. And also it provides us a tool to help provide other funding sources for you through our division as well. Because what we don't know, we can't help with. So if you don't put those in there, we wouldn't know that they exist. And so we wouldn't be able to help find alternative funding sources for you. And that include, some federal funding sources as well as some other state funds. So I would encourage you to put any type of infrastructure project, the same ones that you're discussing and describing, into your ICIP.
Yeah, I understand that. I guess my question is the state requiring water drinking organizations to start changing out their piping?
Oh, I see. I understand your question now. That's a good question. I am familiar with what you're asking. I think it'd probably be a better question for environment. I think they are going to require it. I think there's a time frame that was put in place. I don't know the exact time frame off the top of my head, but I know that it is coming. And so yes, I think it will be coming up soon. And I still, and like I said, I encourage you to put those in the ICIP so we can start providing funding to help all the entities with changing out their piping, their water piping, to meet those standards. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we have anyone from environment on who could potentially help answer that question in more detail. But yes, I do know that is coming at some point.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. I'm going to go through. Sorry,
go
man.
ahead.
I'm gonna go through the chat real quick before we get to our next one. When is the deadline to submit ICIPs into the legislative portal? So I want to clarify two things. One, the ICIP itself, there's a certain deadline to submit your ICIP, so that project is listed within the organization's project list. And so that deadline, Marianne went over previously. It's different for each type of entity. So I think the last deadline is like around July 11th. And then there's the legislative portal, which is it's where you submit your capital outlay request to the legislature. And that typically opens the second week of October. And then that runs through, this last year, it ran through the middle of December. I do know that that deadline keeps getting pushed back a little bit. And the reasoning for that is I think the legislators are trying to make decisions prior to the session. It doesn't always work that way. It definitely did not work that way this year. I think that was the intent, and it didn't happen. And so right now, I would say that the legislative portal is open till mid-December, but that could change depending on what Council Services comes back with. We don't have their timeline yet for this year. Are there trainings for how to do cost estimates? We haven't put one on yet. I think we're working through this process. We're hoping to find entities that are on the statewide price agreement to assist with developing cost estimates for the entities. So more to come on that. We haven't scheduled any yet, but it is on our radar, and we are looking at providing some sort of training for that. The next question, Marianne, is for you. The calendars that you were going through, are those available on the website?
Yeah, they are. And let me navigate to them. So this is the ICIP page of our website. And the training calendar dates are.
All we see is thank you, Marianne. We don't have we don't see your screen.
Darn. I reshared it. Okay. Do you see it now?
I do not.
Do you see it now?
I still do not.
No, it's saying it's sharing the DFA website. So I'll just say it is on our website, and it's under the first table with different files, and it's called ICIP training dates. And it gets updated as we add new training dates.
Perfect. A couple more questions in the chat real quick before we go to the hands. Next question is, where is the Hernandez entity training?
So that's tentatively scheduled for right now, but if you would like to sign up for one that happens in Hernandez or in the area, please reach out to Jason and Michael.
Next question is, can you please publish the email addresses again? And I'll keep going through it. To know the current status of our ICIP, with whom do we start? So you could reach out to Marianne. She can assist you with anything that you need for your status of your ICIP. Can we get a copy of the presentation? The presentation will be available on our website. And we might be able to email a copy to all the participants too. I'll get with Marianne and see if we could do that as well. Do you need a resolution for each project on the ICIP, or could you list all on one resolution?
So it is one resolution for all of the projects that you have, and some folks will include a copy of the summary that you're able to print and download off of our website, or some folks will include a list and the priority that they're in and what year they're under.
Perfect. Next question is, how about vehicles for public safety? Typically, this has been approved. What are the thoughts and guidelines going forward? And I'll take this one, Marianne. I think any type of vehicle you can put on your ICIP. I just think make sure that you're filling out the budget part of the ICIP correctly. So if you need these vehicles, let's just say all within, the first fiscal year, let's just say 2027, put all the money in 2027. If you're looking at trying to spread it out over the course of 5 years, then spread out that money throughout the course of the 5 years. So just make sure you fill out the budget part appropriately. But yes, any vehicles, maintenance vehicles, public safety vehicles, can be put in your ICIP. I think just keep in mind that when we're talking about potentially getting capital funding for those vehicles, sometimes we're selling 10-year bonds, and we don't want to sell 10-year bonds for vehicles that don't last 10 years. So again, just keep that in mind. But again, I think they should go on the ICIP because, again, this is just a mechanism for you to apply for different funding sources. And so there's always other opportunities outside of capital outlay that you could have with filling out your ICIP. And I'll just go ahead and go to the first hand that's raised while I keep going through the messages.
Yeah, so Alston Turtle, please unmute yourself.
Good morning and thank you. My name is Alston Turtle. I'm the vice chairman for the U-Mountain U Tribe. Just to coincide along with our planning director, is there any other resources that we need to tap into to get the best information on these ICIP projects? Or is that something that would be beneficial to be a part of those Tuesday trainings that I'm seeing on the calendars?
I would definitely say
Marianne, I think you're breaking up.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're prone to the best information. As our planning director said, we're newly recognized in the state of New Mexico, and I just want to make sure when we're submitting these applications that we have the best guidance moving forward and trying to be successful with our requests or our asks.
Yeah, and I'll answer Marianne for Marianne, and if she can come back on. I think any trainings that we provide that were on the calendar, you should definitely attend. Also, just reach out to Marianne directly, and she can provide you any guidance that you need to help fill these out. I think sometimes one-on-one meetings might be best for her to kind of walk you through what to look for with some of these. So just reach out to her, and she can provide any guidance that you need.
Okay, thank you.
Summer.
Hi, Wesley. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Thanks for allowing me for a question. This is just a technical question. I just want to clarify, and I'm sorry if it's dumb, but I always have a hard time with it because I don't have like a submit button that makes me feel like, okay, there it is. But with these different deadlines, as long as we have those projects for those certain area, I mean, like for the senior center by that deadline, then that means it's submitted, correct?
Correct. I think that's, and let me kind of clarify some of that. I think, obviously there's some forms that we're requiring that we want to have on file for you. But when it comes to actually filling out the ICIP and having it in our system, once you submit the ICIP in the system, it's in the system. So there's no, it's not going to get deleted from the system unless you want to delete it from the system. So they're all in the system, regardless of whether you submit the forms or not. I think the forms are more of a technicality, so that we're doing our due diligence to make sure that, your local governing bodies are participating in the ICIP process. That's really all it is.
Okay, yes. And so now where the forms need to be submitted is, did you guys have that linked as far as where we access that portal? Because it's a separate thing, right? It's not within the portal. Correct. For where you put the list. Okay.
Correct. And just get with Marianne on where to submit that.
Okay, sounds good. All right, thanks for clarifying that.
Yep.
And I'll put sorry I keep dropping off, but I'll put the link to the actual form, but it is on our website and it is on the ICIP guidelines.
Perfect. All right, I'll keep going through some of the questions in the chat. Are the monies for these projects federally funded? And if so, how much of these funds do you anticipate will be cut or unfunded under the present administration? That's a good question. So these ICIPs are basically it's just a planning tool. So it's really just putting information into a form so that we have as much information as possible for you, the entity, or for us if we decide to go this route, to help find funding for those projects. So for the most part, you will all be searching for funding on your end. And one exciting thing that's going to be happening with a new system that we're developing, which we'll get into more details on that probably in the July to August timeframe. The new system will push your project into basically a database of different funding opportunities. And so we'll be able to match you up with different funding opportunities and provide you those funding sources so that you can apply for them on your own. And so some of those could be federally funded. And, you know, we don't know what the current administration is going to do with all the funding opportunities. I know that some of them are going to continue. Some of the ones that have been around for a while will probably continue to be around. And some of the newer ones might potentially go away. So we really just don't know what that looks like yet. But as long as they're open and available and they're on, you know, the federal government website and they're on other state funding websites, we're going to continue to pull that data and pull that information and try to match you up with the best funding opportunities available. So that's something that's exciting and new that's coming with the new system. So you won't have to do anything. The system will automatically match you, and then it'll be up to you to look at those different matches and see if you want to potentially apply for any of those funds. Is an automatic 2-week extension of due date still available? So I think this is where it's going to get a little bit complicated. So what we're trying to do is, you know, by the July, I think it was 11th deadline, the very last deadline, we're going to try to take all of the data that's in this ICIP system and purge it over to the new system. So we can't really provide an extension when we do that. But what we can say is that once we get those projects into the new system, it'll be a really good opportunity for you to go in there and update any of the projects that are in there, and potentially, you know, maybe add a project that you left off or something. So there will be some opportunities potentially after July 11th, but unfortunately that last deadline is the latest that we're going to allow you to go, because we do need to get this data into the new system so that we can start training you on the new system, which will be, like I said, in late July, early August.
Awesome. Well, if you all do have any more questions, please don't hesitate to give me a call or send me an email. And thank you so much for joining. Like I said earlier, this training recording and the slides will be available on our website. So have a good day, everyone.
Thank you all.
Hi, Maddie. Did you have a question? No. Okay.
And real quick, Marianne, I was going to answer one more question. I think it was from Jacqueline Apodaca. So yes, ICIPs are to be submitted in the same ICIP database as the local governments. They should have their own unique code and login to get into that database. Okay, I think that's it, Marianne.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Wesley.